Are you tired of spending your time and money chasing strategy after strategy only to discover what worked 10, 5, or even 2 years ago is not working now? Things shift fast in the online space, and if you're not keeping up, you're getting left behind. It's time for something different. Welcome to the Marketing, Media, and Money Podcast, where every single episode will be jam-packed with proven, profitable strategies, behind-the-scenes secrets, and what's working now resources from industry experts and global influencers to help you scale your business, shorten your learning curve, and stand out in a crowded, noisy marketplace. And now, your host, award-winning marketing and media strategist, and international speaker, Patty Farmer.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Marketing, Media, and Money Podcast. I'm your host, Patty Farmer, and I'm really looking forward to sharing today's industry expert with you. And our conversation today is going to be about the importance of meaningful conversations that support positive personal brands and effective storytelling. So we all know how important it is to be able to tell a story, whether you're talking to your boss, your employees, your team, from the stage, from the boardroom, and everywhere in between. It's all about knowing how to communicate. And we have an expert with us today who will help you scream it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So let me tell you a little bit about her. So as CEO of IG Creative and the executive producer and host of This Is It Network, Cheldin Barlatt Rumer has spent close to 2 decades creating, managing, and executing strategic grassroots marketing campaigns for clients within an array of various lifestyle industries. Cheldin continues her commitment to communication and marketing education by sharing entrepreneurial stories through her daily digital program, This Is It with Cheldin. And through this online program, entrepreneurs and personalities have the opportunity to find their marketing voice while promoting their products, services, and projects. And as a working mom of 2 wonderful children, she works to inspire female entrepreneurs to no longer whisper your wishes, but to, in fact, scream your dream. Her upcoming book, Scream Your Dream, is expected out this year and will be available in time for gift givings for the holidays. So thank you so much, Cheldin, for being here with me today.
Of course. I've been looking forward to this. I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Patty.
I am so excited to have you here with me today. And, I think that right now in the world that we're living in, right, where we're not really getting to be so person to person right now, it is really important to be able to know how to communicate effectively and share your brand and your story, since we're so much more virtual now, whether it is at an event, whether you're just networking or just having a meeting. It is very, very important now more than ever. Can you touch a little bit on that, on what you're seeing out there right now and how people are struggling to pivot and really be able to really share their message?
Yeah, no, I think that, this was unforeseen. None of us can refer to the last pandemic or the last, quarantine, right? In that space, we're lucky enough to not have that as a reference. So now we're really in uncharted territory. And what I've found is those individuals that really laid the groundwork for their personal brand, what I call BQ, before quarantine, are now in quarantine, really thriving because they have laid the breadcrumbs for this massive meal that people are really taking advantage of, because they had already told people who they were, what they wanted, and why they deserved it. And so now it just opens up for those that didn't pay attention so much to their personal brand. The importance of it is really being reiterated now, because you have to tell your story and people have to have a better understanding of it completely online, as opposed to having you tell a little bit of your story online and then justify it when you show up offline. Now, really, the majority of your storytelling is living in the online space. So those that were savvy and those that were, really abreast on personal branding before, they found themselves in a really great place. Those that are willing to dive in now can find that their brands will help them propel their business moving forward. And I don't think that a lot of people understand that it's more rhythm than it is than it is, expense or even, skill set. It's more about coming up with that consistency and the rhythm to be able to do so. So that's what I see. I see everybody really is in a space at this point where they need to dive more into what their online blueprint looks like, so people can really have positive conversations about them when they're not around.
I think that's so true, because a lot of times I think people don't really even understand. I know when I talk to people, they don't really even understand the difference between brand and branding, right? If you ask somebody, they think that, really their brand is about, their logo and what colors and the font. And it's like, no, those are just your assets. That's just what those are. That don't have anything to do about what your brand is, right? Because in reality, your brand is really what people see, think, feel, and most importantly, share about you, right? When you're not in the room. So when people talk to you about that, how do you explain to the people that you work with? And, obviously you're on a lot of other interviews besides mine, but how would you really, in a nutshell, explain the difference between brand and branding?
So for me, the brand is the tools that you use in order to support your personal brand. Personal branding, by my definition, is what people say and think about you in your absence. That is your personal brand. And those conversations are monumental in your life. The majority of the decisions that change our life happen when we're not in the room, right? Whether or not we're going to be proposed to, promoted, and everything in between, that decision happens when we're not present. So what are people saying about you? And I think that people take this on as, oh, but my chocolate chip cookies are amazing. What is the story behind the chocolate chip cookie? What are they talking about as it relates to why they should buy your chocolate chip cookie versus someone else's chocolate chip cookie? And I find that the majority of the reasons isn't even about the ingredients. It's more about the story that goes behind your product and service, the story that goes behind why you even started the business in the first place. So often people leave it as, okay, this is my brand and this is who I am. And I don't want who I am to affect what my brand is or what my business is or what my service or project is. And I just see it as an amazing celebration to really create a joint story that tells the story of who you are as to why you're doing what you're doing. And I think that that's where the storytelling really begins.
I think it's so true. I think the best example I've ever seen of that is a couple of years ago, I got sick and, I had strep and so I just wasn't feeling well. And I mentioned it on social media at some point. And about 3 days later, I get this delivery. And this delivery was this box that one of my friends here sent to me. And it was this big container of chicken soup. And it had a ladle and some rolls and some chocolate chip cookies. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. So I was so touched by my friend that she sent that to me. But then when I looked at the card, it had this little story that came with it. And in the story, the business was started by a girl whose mother made this amazing chicken soup. And that whenever somebody in their community was sick, her mother would hand deliver this chicken soup. And then her mother passed away. And so this was I could get choked up just doing it. This was the daughter's way to tribute her mother, was to continue and turn that into a business. And they live on the East Coast. And now you can go online and anybody that's sick, you can actually send them this container and it's got the little checker box, thing and all this kind of stuff. And it was like $35. But it was so amazing. But the story about it literally made me want to send it to everybody because I felt so good about supporting what she felt for her mother.
Right, absolutely. And I think that that's the biggest missing piece within the branding scope is that, yes, your product has to be good. Yes, you have to be able to fill a void and serve a purpose. But what is that differentiating factor? And it's always the personal brand, in my opinion. It's always the story that led you to creating this product or service, that led you to servicing your community, that got you to where it is that you want to be. The majority of general public, they want to feel, they want to empathize, they want to understand, they want that come up story. They want to be able to be directly connected to something. When you go into a grocery store, it's countless potato chips, it's countless chocolate chip cookies, but the one chocolate chip cookie that you grew up with, or the potato chip that makes you remember the first NFL football game that you went to. These kind of nostalgic scenarios are really what makes the difference between a brand that's being consumed and a brand that is part of a legacy in someone's life.
That's right, because we know there are some brands out there where people will wrap themselves around the building for something new that's coming out and they don't even know what it is, but they're so loyal. Like, what are you doing to make your community a raving, loyal fan? I think one of the best compliments I've ever received is when I was talking about something I was rolling out and someone said to me, Patty, I don't really care what it is. If you're doing it, I'm in. Like, really, like, that's what happens when people trust you and they know that they can, and that's what you're doing. When they know that whether you're on stage or on social media or they meet you in person, that you're the same person, right? Because you are your brand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Musicians are I think one of the best examples of this. I mean, you would, I'm coming up with my album's coming out, sight unseen, bought, right? With the loyalty, with the anticipation that the talent will be the same, that I know this music, I know this sound, whatever it is, that whatever this artist is going to do, John Bon Jovi, Taylor Swift, will.i.am, whatever it is, because of my loyalty to them and because they have delivered for me in the past, something that is iconic to me and special and unique to me, I'm going to count, regardless of whether or not I listen to any of it, I'm going to download the whole album. I'm going to buy the whole album. And that, I think, is really the magnitude of what personal brands are doing. Look at it in film and television, right? Sight unseen. You see your favorite actor in a film and you're like, I'm going to go check that out, right? The trailer makes no sense, but I'm going to go check it out because I love that particular actor. That's the difference. That's the buying power of personal branding. And if you apply that to, again, your bakery, to your t-shirt shop, to your business in its small business sense, you can really begin to utilize those same skills.
I think that's so true, because let's get real. We're not trying to reinvent ice cream. We're just coming up with our own flavor. I mean, I'm in the marketing and media business. There are a million people in marketing, right? Why would they want to work with me? Why would they want to work with a specific person? It isn't about that. It's because they want to work with you, right? And so I think that is really important that you don't confuse it. What would you say are some, if somebody like really didn't have that right, they really hadn't really nailed that, what would you say 2 or 3 of the first most important things they need to do to get it right?
So for me, there's actually 3 things that I really have them focus on: is who they are, what they want, and why they deserve it. So who they are is, in its simplest form, it's what I call life facts, things that you can't change, right? I'm an African-American woman. I was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa. I'm an immigrant. I was a former Division I athlete. There's things I'm a mother, I'm a wife. There are things that no one can dispute, right? These are things in which I did. These aren't opinions. These are things in which make me who I am. My market for This Is It TV are women loosely between the ages of 30 and 55. I comfortably fit in that target market. So I know that I can communicate on behalf of these women to these women as one of these women, right? Because I've identified myself as one of these women. There are also a lot of mothers within my community. So I know this person. So it's about identifying who you are within what it is that you're doing. So it's those particular things. Within the I Am, I also encourage you to understand your strengths, right? So a lot of entrepreneurs don't lean into the things in which they are good at as part of their storytelling. Primarily when I work with a lot of women, they lean into their negatives. Like, I don't want to brag, but I don't really, all of these kind of, negative tones that they kind of start with that is just a shame, thinking that they need to be this kind of passive scenario in order to win people over. I want you to lean into your strengths. I want you to lean into the fact that you're an amazing baker, because no one wants to buy something from someone who isn't, right? So I want people to lean into their strengths. And then as it relates to what they want, I think people really need to be specific about what you want. If you want people to buy your cookies, we got to get comfortable saying, I want somebody to buy my cookies, right? And what am I going to utilize, and how am I going to utilize who I am in order to sell more chocolate chip cookies? But you also, the most important out of all 3, again, who you are, what you want, is why you deserve it. You need to be able to scream from the rooftops the uniqueness of what it is that you've got going on. I think that that's the part, truly, Patty, that people are missing. They are talking about not the uniqueness, but what it does, right? I sell cookies. I sell them by the dozen, but not why somebody should buy your cookies, right? They're talking about, to your point, the tools, how I wrap it, what the logo looks like, even the shipping. But why would somebody even want the cookies shipped? You have to, because people are going to pay extra for shipping. overnight deliveries if they want it. So we have to create that want based on why you deserve it. But you have to identify who you are, what you want, and why you deserve it. I am an entrepreneur that wants to make more money today than yesterday, selling more courses, more cookies, more t-shirts. And this is why I deserve it. Because I've been a designer for X amount of years, because I baked with my mother since I was 5, because I am a skilled public speaker, because I have the ability to interview people in a specific way. You have to be able to possess that. And those 3 things are the beginning of what I call your unique equation. And that's the strength of your personal brand. A lot of people think, well, everybody sells cookies. Everybody's enthusiastic. Everybody's all these things, but no one has your unique equation, right? The combination of who you are, what you want, and why you deserve it uniquely to you. So that would be my biggest piece of advice for the beginning stages of creating a personal brand that really works for you.
I think that's really important too, because I think a lot of times we have all been introduced by someone where they're telling somebody, oh, you need to know them. And then they tell them, you're like, where'd they get that? Right? Which really should tell you that you haven't done a very good job at letting people know, because what you think that you're being very clear on, because I think a lot of times people like to focus more on what they do instead of who they are, which I think is really, really important. And that's why I always like to tell my clients, you should never say, what do you do? Like that question is just no, like we should never talk about that question, because I think it really doesn't really give people what they need to know to be able to make a decision if you're really the person for them. It doesn't really say enough of who you are. I love the why you deserve it, because I think that is really so true. Like, what makes your cookie so good? What's the secret recipe that you've been handed down from generations for these special cookies? So I think that is so true. And I really think it is very, very important. So while we were doing that, I've had a couple people ask some questions, and somebody wants to know, so Susan wants to know, is it important to wear your brand?
Ooh.
If you're a speaker, when you're showing up for networking events, whatever the case may be, should you wear your brand?
There's nothing wrong with wearing your brand. Just know that is not enough. Just to wear the t-shirt, to have it on the poster, to have it, again, these are tools that reinforce. As you can, as you know, Scream Your Dream is a philosophy that we have at This Is It Network. And it started as a hashtag. It wasn't really anything more than that I began to use, that I created a practice, a personal branding practice around it. I knew that it was important, that it was what I was doing was reinforced by a tagline. So it would become even more memorable. So people say, oh, she's the Scream Your Dream girl. Or, oh, that's the one that screams their dream. It's an actual connection to what it is that you're doing. So I'm not opposed with you standing behind a podium wearing your hashtag, your tagline, your brand, your logo as a reinforcement. But just know that they're not buying necessarily the logo. They're buying the story, the message, and the experience. People purchase, experiences. They purchase, personalities. They don't purchase products and services. So it's really about that. Yeah.
So tell us a little about This Is It Network. So what I love about it is that I read on your site that it's a global female and minority-owned digital TV network. Now, I love that. So tell us a little bit about how that happened, because I know, was it like your show first and then you became a network? Was that it right from the beginning? Like, how did that come about, and how did you integrate that really with what it is that you do and how you serve?
Well, so thank you so much for asking that. In 2009, I created an agency called IG Creative, and it was a traditional PR marketing firm. We did social media, graphic design, web design, and publicity. And the majority of the people that we were servicing were female small business owners that would come in what I call a whisper. They would have their last X amount of dollars, and they would say to me, Cheldin, I started this necklace business, but I don't know if you'll like it. I'm not sure if I like it. I've been like all of this, again, that negative self-talk leading with, their insecurities in that space. And I was, I would ask them, I was like, how long have you been doing this? And then she was like, oh, 5 years, 10 years. And I was like, oh, my goodness, like after 5, 10 years, you still can't part your lips with enthusiasm about what it is that you're doing. I was like, this can't be a thing. And this comes from somebody who is, self-proclaimed extrovert. Like, I am naturally enthusiastic about just about everything. And so I just found it tragic that these talented people that sacrificed so much, they remortgaged their homes, they didn't go to the bat mitzvah, they haven't gone to the events, they haven't seen their niece's baby, all of this for their business that they weren't comfortable telling people about, right? I felt like that there was a tragedy in that piece. And so I studied media and communications, and I would say, let me turn on the camera. I was documenting things before documenting things on social media was a thing. I pulled out a camera and I started practicing with my clients. I started practicing interviews so they would get more comfortable. I have a certain way about myself, which affords people the ability to kind of settle into themselves. And I saw the transformation once they were comfortable. I saw them go from a whisper to a scream. And I knew that I had to do that as often as I possibly could. So I started just interviewing small business owners, primarily women, in the local Philadelphia area. We were based in the Philadelphia area, and decided that I wanted to be more committed to doing so. So I said Monday through Friday, I would do it each and every morning. Now I interview 1 to 6 people a day. And then based on all of the wonderful blessings we've gotten from this COVID pandemic, some of us are looking, I've been safe at home. So that has really afforded me the ability to open up our digital platform to women across the globe. And I've been interviewing women from not only all walks of life, but all walks of folks from all over the globe, and encouraging them to no longer whisper their wishes, but to scream their dreams. So in addition to my show, I produce an additional 12 shows that can all be found on our OTT platform or our digital platform, thisisit.tv. So yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I see also that you offer detailed branding techniques that help entrepreneurs grow their business, generate more revenue, and increase their audience reach both online and offline. And I just love that. So could you share with us how people would connect with you so they can learn more about that, learn more about your network, and just how you serve and all of the wonderful things that you do?
Well, thank you so much. In the air of that, it was a necessity to encourage people, again, not only to scream their dream once, but how do they use their marketing voice? So it was super important that I had extended skills and provide an extended skill set to help people do that. So more information on all that I do and the network can be found at thisisit.tv.com. And on all of our social media platforms, I'm on everything and post regularly on all things. Everywhere you can find at thisisit.tv.
That is wonderful. And everybody, you're going to want to make sure that you connect with her. And I'm going to tell you, she's going to give you this really great opportunity in a second. So you really want to stay for that. But Cheldin, one of the things that I really love to do on the show here is I really love to do what we like to call our portion of open mic. It's kind of my social karaoke, I like to say, where I like to pass the mic over and really ask you, if you had to narrow it down, what would be the number one marketing, media, and money strategy?
Yeah. So for me, my thing for all of you out there is consistency, consistency, consistency. So often we make it hard for people to pay us. We make it hard for people to find us. If you are saying within the list of things in which you want is to sell more, to have exposure to more, are you making it easy for people to find you? Or are you creating a scavenger hunt in order for people to compensate you? Do you think that people are going to take the extra 20 minutes to make sure that you are the right John Michael? Or are they going to pass on to someone else? Are you differentiating yourself both online and offline in a way that people can connect what you do with who you are? Consistency is key. When is the last time you looked at a social media outlet and they hadn't posted in months or years even? The assumption is that they're closed. Even if they're working diligently on something else, even if their mind is distracted in another way, it still looks, the perception is that they are closed. So creating a schedule of consistency, not to burden you, but to ensure your customers that you are available and you don't want them on a scavenger hunt in order for them to compensate you. So consistency, Patty, my friend, is so, so important, not to torture you, especially if you're not a social media savvy, but is just to truly welcome your customers and community to say, I'm here for you when and if you need me.
I think that's so important. It cracks me up how many times I go to somebody's website. I don't know about you, but I expect to see their phone number and how I can reach them, like right there. Don't make me search, right? Because I probably didn't go to your website just to get that, right? So like make it easy for me. So I think that's important. But I love that You're going to give them an opportunity right now to help them with all of those. And you come bearing gifts. And I love that. What a great guest. So share with the audience, like what you have for them.
So I would love for you to join me on This Is It TV. It is free for guests to join me on This Is It TV. It is a 7 to 10 minute interview. So it's not long. It's more of a conversation than it is hard-hitting news. It affords you the ability to share who you are, what you want, and why you deserve it. We just talk as old friends would about what it is that you're up to, the uniqueness of your business, and most importantly, because I live in intention, we share how people can get in touch with you. So how you are able to share your website, your social media. We want people to find you. We want people to take advantage of all that you have to offer. So if you'd like to join me, I know Patty will be sharing that link so you can reach out and become a guest on This Is It Network.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being here with me today, Cheldin. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure. Thank you for everyone for joining us on the Marketing Media Money podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and review the podcast on your favorite listening platform. And make sure you check out our sister publication, the Marketing Media and Money magazine. You can grab right now a free lifetime subscription at www.marketingmediamoney.com. Thank you, everyone. Have a phenomenal day. Remember, if your day isn't phenomenal, you have the power to change it. Thank you, Cheldin, so much for being here with me today.
Oh, thank you so much. It was so much fun. So much fun. Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us today on the Marketing, Media, and Money podcast. To shorten your learning curve even more, make sure to grab your free copy of the Marketing, Media, and Money magazine at www.marketingmediamoney.com. I promise your business will thank you.